that we'll get started in just a moment. Just a disclaimer, this meeting will be recorded and posted on our webpage afterwards. And once that's posted, you'll all be notified via email. I think we're good to start. So I'll introduce myself and some of our other presenters here. So my name's Zane. I'm the undergrad advisor for our department. Um, a little bit about myself is I'm actually an alum of this department. I was also a transfer student. So if anyone has any questions peer-to-peer or anything about the student experience, I'm always happy to help, always happy to help you transition to UC San Diego. I'll introduce I'll let the other panel speakers introduce themselves. So I'll start off with Ethel. Ethel, you can introduce yourself.
I am Ethel Liu. I'm this student affairs manager for the department. And what that means is I oversee both the undergraduate and the graduate programs. And more recently, we also oversee the computational social sciences program, which Eileen, I'll let her introduce herself. Uh, who she is the program coordinator for that.
I could go next. I'm Aileen. It's nice to meet you all. I'm the program coordinator for computational social science, which has an undergraduate minor that I'll be talking about a little bit today. And what my role is basically I do advising for the minor as well as for our graduate students. And I do some administrative aspects of the program as well.
All right. Thank you both for introducing yourselves. Again, this meeting will be recorded and posted on our webpage for those of you trickling in. So yeah, let's get started. So this will be a two-part presentation. So the first part will actually be the presentation side of things, where we'll go through all the need-to-know aspects about the department and help give you a good introduction to things. And afterwards, in about an hour, we'll do a Q&A. We'll start that at around 10-ish, and depending on how fast we go through slides. So yeah, we do have quite a lot to go through. So I'll get started. When we asked you all to RSVP, we had a question about how do you plan to be successful at UC San Diego? And there were a lot of responses. A lot of them fell under a common theme. Here are some ones that stood out, but a lot of them were similar. A lot of them made very good points. So I'll just point out a few that I selected here. So attend all classes, ask for help, make connections, actively participate and interact with related clubs, internships, and volunteer opportunities. We'll get into that a little bit later into this presentation. Create a 2-year plan. We can definitely show you how to do that as a student. Participating in the foreign exchange program, or what we call study abroad. We can also get into that a little bit later into this presentation. And reaching out for support, tracking major requirements, pick courses that suit their future plans, as well as take opportunities within the major to gain more experience with the intended career path. All excellent answers, and we would love to show you how to go about that. So yeah, we have about 9 different majors within the department. American politics, race, ethnicity in politics, comparative, international relations, political theory, public law, public policy, data analytics, and of course the general major. So these are all sectioned off into their own little numbering scheme. And to give a brief description of each subfield within the department, American politics is pretty self-explanatory. It's about national, state, and local politics within the United States and how that fits into the big picture of politics. a common question is, what's the difference between international relations and comparative politics? International relations is more about how governments interact with one another, not only through war, but also through economic deals, climate agreements, and through peaceful means. And whereas comparative politics looks at you're doing just that. You're comparing how different countries have their political system set up, not just democracies, but also autocracies, how they have their elections set up, and how they differ from one another. Of course, data analytics is a big one within the department. It's one of the few bachelors of sciences within political science that you can get within the United States. Thusly, it's a very popular major area between our majors. Also, political theory, which looks at more political philosophy and how that applies to the real world. And public law, which is the constitutional and legal aspect of things about how we decide to do things. Think about courts and the legal system when we talk about public law. Public policy, that was actually my major. It differs a little bit from American politics and data analytics, whereas it looks at the actual crafting of legislation and how that fits in to the grand scheme of things. And our newest major, race, ethnicity, and politics, which studies the racial and ethnic differences within the United States, as well as the other regions of the world. It looks at an in-depth analysis of citizenship, nationality, violence, immigration, etc. Again, it's a very new major to our department, but it's got up to a running start. So, like I said, 9 majors within the department, including general political science. These majors are set up through a total of 16 courses. So 4 of which are lower division and 12 of which are upper division. If you have a concentration, which is everything except for general political science, you'll have what's called an area of concentration, whereas 5 of the 12 upper division courses that you'll take must be within that concentration. So going back to the public policy example, 5 of those classes must be within the public policy field. And the rest of those classes are electives within the political science area. Of course, all classes for the major must be political science classes, and we can show you where you can find which classes apply to the major, specifically within area of concentrations. And I do want to emphasize all courses must be taken for a letter grade. This applies to transfer courses as well. And if you have any AP tests, that's the only real exception to that transfer course rule. Generally a score of 5 on the AP government test, and I think there's a couple others that can satisfy major requirements. Yes, you can change your major online with the change of major tool after you are enrolled in your fall classes. So that will begin starting next week, is probably when you'll be able to do that. I would recommend meeting with your major department, which, if it's within political science, would be me. And yeah, I'll hand this over to Eileen to help give you a brief description of the computational social science minor.
Thanks, Zane. So yeah, I'm going to talk just really quickly about the computational social science minor, since this is a minor that might be interesting to you all. So this is a very interdisciplinary minor. It spans the entire School of Social Sciences. It is now housed administratively in political science. We're all working very closely together. The minor code for this is M083 if you're interested in adding this on the major/minor tool on TritonLink. You can basically request to add a minor, and it'll go to me, and I will review the courses you're planning for it, help you make any adjustments in your plan, and ultimately approve that minor. Our website, if you're interested in learning more after hearing about it, is css.ucsc.edu. You can find out everything about the minor as well as our program as a whole on there. We also have a one-year master's program and a PhD specialization. For our advising, I am the advisor for the program, so you would be meeting with me and advising if you're interested in learning more. These are our hours here, and we have both remote and in-person advising. So whatever works better for you, feel free to come in and chat with me more about the CSS minor. But next, I'll give you kind of an overview of the field. So computational social science is a pretty new field in general, not just at UCSD. It's very up and coming and getting really popular. You're seeing a lot of CSS programs popping up all over the place now. Basically what CSS is the practice of applying causal social science models and computational models, simulations, and analysis to big data to uncover how people think, decide, and act in groups, markets, and states. So it works very hand in hand with the more theoretical side of the social sciences and just adds on those data skills, the data analytic skills to help answer these big questions. So some examples of questions that CSS can help answer more effectively are: how does social media influence voter turnout? During COVID, how can we find the areas that lack testing and need it the most? How can we reduce crime while respecting poverty? How does the existence of potholes impact the economic viability of a community? How do microaggressions relate to consumer behavior? So these topics are all much more thoroughly able to be explored when you add in the computational methods that you learn within the CSS minor. And I'll move over to the next slide here. So let's talk about who might consider a CSS minor. Basically, I'm here presenting because this is a minor that makes a lot of sense for social science majors, including political science majors, to take on if they have the time and the interest for it. If you're interested in learning some technical skills, learning some programming, and adding that to your tool belt, this could be a good minor for you. If you are considering maybe like a computer science and data science major as well, and you're looking for social science applications, this could also make sense as well. And so I'm happy to stick around for a few minutes if you have any questions to put in the chat. I will be jumping off in a few minutes here. So if you do have any further questions, oh, sorry, I moved on to the next one. If you do have any further questions in the future, please send me a VAC message. I'm available through the VAC if you send a message to Computational Social Science, or again through our advising, which you can find the hours on our website.
Thank you for that, Eileen. I forgot to mention, if you do have any questions, well, obviously, if you have any computational social science questions, we ask that you keep those in the chat. Again, there will be a Q&A session afterwards, but if you have any brief questions, you can ask those in the chat. If there's a question that would need a more in-depth explanation, we can address those at the Q&A session. So yeah, thank you for that, Eileen. So a question that actually was asked was about how do we know what classes will apply to your major? And that's a good question. If you go into poli-sci.ucsd.edu/undergrad, you'll find this webpage. If you go to the side tab over here and click majors and minor requirements over here, you'll be taken to this webpage, which will list all the majors within the department. For this example, we've clicked on comparative politics, and you can see these are all the classes that are required. So Like I said earlier, 4 lower division courses, Poly 11, 2 of these courses over here, and Poly 30, plus your 12 upper division courses. So yeah, these are the course pools that you can choose for your area of concentration. 1 here, 2 here, and I believe 2 more here, plus your 7 electives. We also recommend visiting the academic advising page, which is the second tab over here in academic advising info. This will take you to the page where you can find the 2 and 4 year plans. For transfer students over here, you'll be looking at the 2-year plan. This would take you to this page. I would also like to point out that we do have a major checklist, which if you go back to this page, scroll to the bottom, you'll see an area that says major checklist. If you click on this hyperlink, it'll take you to this PDF document, which is a little bit more of a concise way to summarize your major requirements. As a student, I would recommend frequently checking back here. And for making your 4-year plans, obviously, if you're a transfer student, this would be shortened to a 2-year plan. You would just be filling this out as you go. And you would have a lot of classes that would transfer as lower division, especially if you're coming as a transfer student. So a lot of these have already been filled out, so you can mark them off as you go. And a lot of them have consequentially already been marked off. We would also like to point out, if you ever need a reminder on the grade policies, which classes can be taken pass, no pass, which classes must be taken at UC San Diego, those are listed at the bottom of both the quarter by quarter plan and the major checklist. I'd also like to plug our BA MIA program. It's a bachelor's and master joint degree program in the field of international affairs. So this is a joint degree program that we have with the School of Global Policy and Strategy, which I will call GPS for short. It is a joint degree program where, as a political science student, which I presume you all are, you would apply for this during your junior year, so that in your senior year, you would actually begin taking graduate level courses at UCSD, and you'd be paying undergrad fees. And the following year, you would complete that those graduate level courses and earn both a BA and a master's in international affairs from UC San Diego. This is a very good way to have a step up on things, and of course, be able to, if you want to have a head start in this career and you really want to get into international affairs, this is a good way to do so. I've left links over here if you want to read more on the requirements, both on our webpage and the GPS side of things. So it's sort of a 2-parter program. You would come to us for the undergrad advising, whereas the graduate advising would go through GPS. This is consequentially the transfer orientation. So I would like to get into a moment to talk about familiarizing yourself with assist.org. I imagine all of you at least have heard of assist.org, if not have actively used it. I know I did when I was in the application to transfer process. Essentially, what you would be doing is going to assist.org, enter your original institution. In this example, we chose San Diego City College with the agreement to UC San Diego. These are courses that we have agreements with that institution, courses that will correlate to UCSD course requirements. A couple of disclaimers. By definition, if you're coming from a community college, your courses can only count as lower division. Community college courses cannot count as upper division. If you take an upper division course and feel that's familiar to a community college course that you've taken. Unfortunately, that cannot be counted as a course equivalency. With that said, not every college offers every course that we offer at UC San Diego, especially at the lower division level. If you take these courses here at San Diego City College, you can see these three have these three lower division agreement correlations, right? But this one there for Poly 13 does not have a correlation. That's just simply because San Diego City College does not have a course equivalent to Poly 13. And also Poly 30, there's a common question is how come none of my statistics courses transferred to be an equivalent to Poly 30? That is simply because we require all students, regardless of first year or transfer status, to take Poly 30 at UCSD. But yeah, I would also recommend checking your official academic record every quarter, especially as a transfer student. If you're unsure what did or didn't transfer, or if you don't think this list is consistent with what did transfer, I would check your academic history. You can find this on the Triton link, Triton tools on, if you click on academic history, it will take you to this page. And you can see some courses that you might have taken. If you've taken, for example, Poly 102 at San Diego City College, it should show as a transfer student if you scroll to the bottom of this page. And I would frequently check back, especially if your transcripts are still in the process of being transferred. And with that, I'd also like to familiarize you all with the degree audit. This might be super intimidating, especially if you're not really sure how to read this. I know I was overwhelmed when I first saw this, but to break it down, if this area is green, that means you fulfilled the requirement for this area. So the student has taken Poly 10 and thus has a green check mark. If it's blue, that means if you finish this class with the C- or better, you're in progress of taking that class, it will be blue. Once you complete that, it will be green. Red simply red simply means that you still have a little bit more work to do before you complete this requirement. You can see this student's area of concentration just needs one more course. Once that course is taken, let's say the next quarter you take Poly 100A, this will thus be blue. And once you finish that, it'll be green. And the nice thing about this is you can see over here, Poly 100B, why isn't it down here? It's because it pulled it from down here to up here as your upper division. So you can see what classes you can take without having to cross-reference with what you've already taken. I would recommend using this as a way to check off this checklist.
If you could show that real quick, Zane, I also wanted to point out. So for example, on that first line where it says Intro to Poli Sci, you'll notice that next to the 4.5 credits it says TA instead of for example, like just an A. That means that was a transferred course. So Poly 10 in this case was a course that was transferred in, and then Poly 30D, which received a grade of A, is a course that the student actually took here at UCSD. So in case you're wondering why there's different designations.
Yeah, that's also a good point. As a transfer student, I imagine you'll have a couple of these. So I would also like to familiarize you all with the tentative schedule. So the tentative course offerings can be found on our webpage. If you go down to undergrad program and click on political science courses, you'll see this hyperlink right here. If you click on that, that'll take you to our webpage, which you can see classes we hope to offer in future quarters for that academic year. We only have it for the current academic year. We don't have it for future academic years, but once that academic year does come up, we will update that. This is subject to change, and I would check back here frequently as instructors' schedules do change, whether it's factors with or without our control. So yes, these schedules are posted on our web page and are subject to change, so please check back frequently. If you would like information on more specific times or dates or where the class will be taken, that will be on the schedule of classes on Triton Link once the schedule for that given quarter goes live. So yeah, with that, the schedule of classes right here is the tool I was just referring to. You can see this is a really good tool to help filter classes based off of different info. I know I used it a lot when I was a student, especially if you find an instructor you really like. You can actually filter by professor, and you can find other classes offered by that instructor during that quarter. You can also sort by day of the week, time of lecture, upper division. And if you're trying to jigsaw a course in your schedule, this is a good way to do it. A side note, I would not recommend having back-to-back courses. And trust me on this, it's difficult to handle that, especially when you have one course on one end of campus and the other. Yeah, just keep that in mind. And you can also filter classes with open seats in case you are not interested in waitlisting. So I'll hand this over to Ethel, who can tell us a little bit more about enrollment and give us a little bit of a better picture of what your enrollment would look like.
Thanks, Zane. So departments save seats for incoming students, and that includes incoming first years and incoming transfers. So when you go to the schedule of classes, there should be available seats for you to enroll in most of our classes. I checked yesterday and there were only 2 classes that had a wait list. All other classes had seats. So you will receive enrollment guidance if you haven't already from your college. And you can go to New Triton Advising at vac.ucsd.edu if you have any questions that you want to direct to us. You can select Poli-Sci and we will see all your questions through the VAC. We don't answer academic questions on email. That's, standard. You'll probably find that across different departments, same rule. And that's simply because, one, it's easier to see your record through the VAC. We have access to all the information that we need to advise you. And then also for confidentiality as well. So we try to maintain a consistent record through the VAC, and also it's a more secure place for any sensitive information that you may be sharing or that we may have to share with you. Let's see, as Zane pointed out, please try to use our tools that have been created for you, both the one on our website and also at plans.ucsd.edu. the plans.ucsd.edu has a suggested academic plan for you for transfer students. It's by no means set in stone. So just know that you could use that like as a draft. But as far as planning your own specific set of courses for the next 2 years, there's a lot of flexibility given, your other commitments. You're a student, but you also have your life outside of being a student. And so you may have to plan things differently than what's suggested on plans.ucsd.edu. I don't know if the registrar has completed all reviewing all of the transcripts that have been submitted. I have not heard. I've not gotten any updates on that, but I know that admissions, they're working really hard to make sure everything gets reviewed by mid-August. So right around this time, so that by the time you need to enroll, all of your classes, all of your transfer courses should have posted along with the equivalency course postings on your academic record at UCSD. So you'll be enrolling in classes as soon as some of you may have already this week. And just as a reminder, first day of classes is on September 23rd. So UCSD operates in a 2-pass enrollment system. So during first pass, you can enroll in typically 2 classes, right? Each class is 4 units for a total of 8 units. You could technically enroll in up to 11.5 units during first pass, but you'd have to like enroll in a 2-unit seminar or something like that. So generally 2 classes during first pass, and then you'd enroll in another 2 classes during second pass. Something to keep in mind is that during first pass, you cannot waitlist. So pick 2 classes that you can actually get into. And then if there's a class that has a wait list and you want to add yourself to the wait list, you can do that during second pass. Or if there's a class that was open during first pass that wasn't quite your priority, and then there's a running wait list for it in second pass, you can go ahead and add yourself to the wait list. The wait list is on a first come, first served basis. We don't allow students to skip the queue on the wait list. Our department is very good about reviewing our wait lists right before the start of classes. And if there's room to add more students, like if the classroom can hold more students, we generally let in as many of the students in the wait list as we can. However, keep in mind there are other factors too that we have to consider besides the classroom size. And that is availability of a TA. So our TAs, we want to make sure we don't overload them with too many students. So if we add more students to a class, and if a TA can take on the additional workload, then we can easily allow the wait list in. But if we go above a certain number, we may have to hire another TA. And so whether or not we can add more students to a class would also depend on if we have a TA to hire. And also it depends on the instructor's preference. So some instructors prefer not to teach classes that are way too big. So that's another factor too. So just keep that in mind. We do try to accommodate as many people from the wait list, but there are other factors we have to consider as well. Our department is very strict about not allowing late ads. So I don't know if your college has mentioned this to you, if you've learned of this, but there's an add deadline and there's a drop deadline. So the add deadline is Friday of week 2. So up to that point, you can add a class, or the wait list runs up until Thursday of week 2. After Friday of week 2, no additional students will be added to our classes. Let's see. So please adhere to the add and drop deadlines. There are 2 drop deadlines to keep in mind. The first drop deadline is, can drop the course, really no consequence. It doesn't, nothing gets logged into your record if you drop it by that first drop deadline. The second drop deadline is a drop with a W, meaning that course stays on your record and it will have the designation of W next to it, meaning you were in the class for, I believe, at least 9 weeks. I forget when the drop with a W deadline is, but you were in the class for a significant amount of time, and then you dropped it closer to the end of the quarter. It's not the end of the world to have that on your record, but try not to have too many W's on your record. As I mentioned before, for your first pass, you get to enroll in 11.5 units. And then before the quarter begins, you can enroll in or waitlist for a total of 19.5 units. Then after the quarter starts, you can enroll in or waitlist up to 22 units. Okay, I already mentioned this 2-pass enrollment system. That's for everybody. You're gonna start enrolling soon, tomorrow. Open courses, enroll in those, at least for first pass, and then second pass, you can wait list for classes. Okay, so that's as far as enrollment. So as transfer students, if you want to gain some research experience while at UCSD, you really have to kind of hit the ground running on this. So your first quarter, I know you're going to be, still adjusting to things on campus, but start looking into or considering research experience, like research opportunities, probably your second, so winter quarter or spring quarter. As you take classes with our faculty instructors, if you end up liking a class or you visit them during office hours and you find yourself really interested in the work they're doing, you might want to talk to your professors about independent research opportunities with them. If they agree to take you on as a student and mentor you, you can sign up for Poly 199. Poly 199 is a way for you to earn credit, to earn units. It's typically 4 units for your work with ladder rank department faculty. You can also use it as an elective toward your major. Another option, which wouldn't be so much, well, maybe this year, but more than likely for next year, is to work directly with a graduate student, a graduate PhD student from our department. So our PhD students, they have to run, they run surveys, or they are collecting data for their dissertation projects. and some of them need help with that. And so they look for undergraduate students who can help them, typically 12 hours a week. And for that, you can also earn credit, and that is through Poly 198 RA. So in this upcoming fall quarter, Zane is going to be sending out information about the different grad students who are looking for a mentee, and we'll have information about their different research projects. So when you see that email go out and you're interested in applying, do follow the instructions on there so that our grad students can, they typically ask for your resume, maybe a statement of interest, and then they go ahead and select which students they want to take in for winter and spring quarter. So we have renowned faculty in our department. I believe we're ranked number 11, Zane. Is that still correct? As far as the political science departments. And you can look them up on Google. You can look up their profiles on our website, read up on the what they've published, but they're also very much out there in terms of being active outside of academia as well. So for example, Professor Thad Kauser, some of you might have seen him on the news being interviewed or have heard him on the radio. So our faculty, they're not only, instructors or professors, but they're also very much active in the broader community. Okay, another another opportunity for you all, and again, as transfer students, you don't have much time to establish relationships with our faculty, so you really have to be more proactive about seeking mentorships. And when you do, something like the senior honors program might be of interest to you or beneficial for you, especially if you're thinking about going to grad school. So the senior honors program, it's in your last year. So for you, it's next year. And you essentially write a thesis that, so you do you propose a project, you conduct the research, and then you write a thesis. Your thesis is submitted by the end of winter quarter, and it gets read by at least 2 faculty members who then have to decide, and they are, blindly read, so they wouldn't know who you are. They just read your work. And they decide whether or not to designate your thesis as worthy of, high honors or honors. It's very rigorous. There is a requirement for minimum GPA, and also for you to have completed a set number of courses. But it's really great, because the students who have come through, they not only learn from each other, but they can also use it to, note on their CVs or on their resumes that they graduated with honors. So it does go on your diploma as well. You can see all of the honors thesis if you want to see examples of them that have been earned since 2012. It's on our website. So if you want to take a look and see, okay, what kind of writing, what kind of research have past students done? as an example and see if that's something that you would potentially be interested in. Another opportunity that you might want to consider is interning while you are a student. And for that, there's two different options. So there's one which is 194 SD. So it's a research seminar. It's usually tied to students who are doing like a UCDC program or UC Center Sacramento program. So they go and they intern in Washington, D.C. or Sacramento, and then they earn credit by participating in a research seminar while there. The other one is called well, it's a local internship, so that's why it's called 197 SD. So you would find an internship in San Diego and earn units for it through 197 SD. And this one is overseen by Professor Mesa Nichter, who you'll also hear about later on in the slides. She directs our Law and Politics initiative. There's a process for applying for these internship units. So take a look at that here. And if you have additional questions about this, you can always reach out to Zane through the VAC or attend a drop-in advising session. Okay, and I think this is you, Zane, so I'll hand it over to you.
All right, thanks, Adlo. So yeah, we'll get started with talking about UCDC and UC Center Sacramento. I actually have a personal connection to UC Sacramento as I am an alum of that program. So both programs are both very similar. You would spend 1 quarter either in UCDC or UC Sacramento, depending on which one you choose. It's a UC-wide collaborative internship program. So they would help you find an internship in nearly any type of setting or industry. Mine personally was in the California Community College Chancellor's Office. And yeah, you would develop those transferable skills and establish your professional network that way. I personally had a really good time in my internship. So part of the program is at least in UC Center Sacramento, which is more research focused, is presenting your own original research project to professionals in the area who like to see what UC students are up to. So my project was about the Student Equity and Achievement Program, which focused on increased funding to students who non-white students who experienced underrepresentation. And the goal of that program was to decrease the achievement gap among non-white students. I was able to present that to professionals in the area. Very good networking opportunity. I know personally I benefited a lot from it. They ask questions about your research, and I would not be here if not for that program. It's a very good way to also network. I know personally I still keep in contact with the cohort I was a part of. And I do believe your financial aid goes with you as part of, you're technically a still a UC student. So they've gone a long way in your post-graduation job search. And like I said, any sort of industry. I have colleagues who were in the governor's office. They worked for the DOJ, for the Chamber of Commerce, etc. And yeah, I've heard nothing but good things from students who also have been part of the program. UCDC, also very similar program. Um, it's really up to you whether or not you want an internship that deals more in local or national politics or state politics. It's that might be a question you want to ask yourself. What do you see yourself doing? Uh, with that, there's also the study abroad opportunities that we offer. We have a multitude of study abroad program types. The most common one and most established one at UCSD is the UCEAP program, which I can definitely vouch for, as a lot of students find that the it's the best program to earn major credit for, as you'll be attending universities that are sort of in collaboration with UCs in over 40 countries, and there are research and internship opportunities within those study abroad programs. And yeah, you have the option of summer, quarter, or yearly options, and financial aid travels with you. If you have any questions about that, I would also talk to the financial aid office about all the implications. As I understand, traveling does get pricey. There's also the global seminars and the OAP program. So global seminars is faculty led. It's a summer program. It's about 5 weeks, which you'll be taking 2 UCSD courses for 8 units. Benefits of that are smaller class sizes, courses taught in English, and again, financial aid available with that. And the OAP program, which is a third-party offering, which gives you a little bit more flexibility in your institution choice. That program is excellent for out-of-state and international students, especially with students who have ties to the area. The good thing about that program is, or all these programs for that matter, is they can still polish your resume, and employers love to see someone who has a wider, broader experience, not just in local cultures, but also provides you with some good cross-cultural skills. And we also do know that a lot of students receive over 500,000 in scholarships annually. A lot of students do wonder if they will receive major credit. There is a degree of uncertainty among that, among students. About 97% of students who go abroad are either in the process of receiving major credit or have already received it. A lot of students are anxious on whether or not they can graduate on time upon going abroad. Now, keep in mind, correlation is not causation, but 72% of majors who did study abroad graduated on time, whereas 61% of social science students who did not study abroad graduated on time. Again, correlation is not causation, but it should give you a better idea of feeling more confident about going abroad. The process of doing which, before beginning the conversation, you would be searching for courses offered by the university you wish to attend. And then you would talk to both your college and major advisors and the study abroad office, just to have a better idea of what can or can't be applied to your UCSD requirements. That's when you would go abroad and have a good time, return, and you would petition those classes to count towards the requirements. If done correctly, you should be able to receive major requirements with the proper consultation. Along that, we have a little bit of a section here on careers and grad school. So what employers are seeking are among political science majors are leadership, the ability to work in the team, verbal and communicative skills, problem solving, and the work ethic. Your major is not boxing you into a career. A lot of students who decide to start with political science end up going into other multidisciplinary fields or just different fields entirely. These skills are very transferable among different uh, different I guess disciplines. And employers like to see your ability to communicate and transfer those skills from the classroom to the real world. Ability to work as a team and conceptualize problems are really big among employers, and taking those skills from the classroom to the real world goes a long way. Along that, for those students who are interested in prospectively going to law school, we have the Chris Houston Law and Politics Initiative, which is a initiative by which is a very active pre-law experience that matches students with the ambitions and talents to go to law school. So there are a lot of pre-law events that we do have. We have a really good public law major for students. A lot of faculty who either are adjacent to law school, practicing attorneys, law instructors, and these classes are sort of seminar classes taught in the style of a law school to give you a little taste on whether or not you are if something like that is what you're interested in. And I will say we do have a very active pre-law community on campus, and I can speak anecdotally to saying that the pre-law classes that I've taken have definitely been a pleasant experience. With that, the board of pre-law advisors on campus are currently available for students. Those pre-laws advisors are attorneys in the doctoral program at political science, available for individual appointments to discuss prospective careers in law and what that would look like for you. It's a very good mentorship program. Also, the American Political Science Association, a very prominent national association among political science students. There's also the UCSD Career Center, which I can't emphasize enough how they've helped me out providing career and graduate school advising. I would also recommend visiting our LinkedIn page for prominent opportunities for students. It is updated frequently. If you search up on LinkedIn, Department of Political Science, UC San Diego, you'll find a lot of opportunities that we post and we want to make available to our students. And I would also recommend visiting our webpage in the career and grad school page under undergrad program to have a better idea of resources we have available for students. For any sort of career advising, I would recommend the Career Center, connecting with faculty, or just sending a inquiry via the VAC, where we can direct you to the proper resources. Okay, and speaking of student organizations, we do have a lot for students to get involved with, especially among political science students. For a full list of orgs, I would go to getinvolved.ucsd.edu/org/list. That's a little bit of a mouthful, but if you go onto that page, you'll find a full list of student orgs that is updated frequently. It might not be fully up to date right now, given that we're sort of in a transition period to the 2024-25 academic year, but it should give you an idea of what sort of communities are active on campus. So to name a few: Mock Trial, Model UN, the Prospective Journal of International Affairs at UCSD, and finally Pi Sigma Alpha, which is our National Honor Society on campus. To qualify for this, you can find these requirements on our webpage, but you must complete at least 7 political science courses, 3 of which must be upper division, and maintain a GPA of 3.6 in all political science courses. To clarify, in political science courses does not mean cumulatively. So that is strictly among major courses. So if you've taken an econ class, unless that econ class is cross-listed with our major requirements, we would not count that in the GPA calculation. Okay, if you're a student with a disability, good news for you is I am your OSD liaison. So I would recommend, if you do have a disability, to contact ASAP, the Office of Students with Disabilities, to receive accommodations in your courses. The procedures can be found on our webpage, but the gist of it is meeting with a specialist from the Office of Students with Disabilities, which I'll just refer to as OSD, to receive a authorization for accommodation letter. That will go to me and your instructor, and anything in that letter we are required to provide to you. You do not have to wait until classes to begin that process. You just need medical documentation, and you'll be contacted as soon as week 1 of the quarter, and you can set up an appointment. If there's an accommodation in the AFA letter that you were seeking that is not listed, we can't provide that accommodation to you unless you speak to your OSD specialist assigned to you. You can speak with them and see what you can work out to include in that AFA letter. But by the end of that appointment, your question should be answered. And I would also advise scheduling your exams via the Triton Testing Center. If you don't know what that is, they'll give you a brief rundown, but it's a institution on campus where you can schedule your exams with the proper accommodations. Okay, transitioning to UC San Diego. There are quite a bit of resources here that I'll briefly run through. There's the Student Success Coaching Program, which is a initiative that each college has a capacity of. The Analytical Writing Program, in case you weren't aware, political science is a writing heavy major. So I would recommend visiting this program and have a second pair of eyes to look at your papers when those are assigned to you. The Academic Achievement Hub and Teaching and Learning Commons, also Oasis, both provide free tutoring, supplemental instruction, and some good counseling and learning strategies. Of course, I just mentioned OSD. Counseling and Psychological Services, which I'll refer to as CAPS, provides free, confidential, and psychological counseling. Also, crisis services for registered UC San Diego students. And finally, the Office for the Prevention of Harassment and Discrimination, which we refer to as OPHD, which can educate the community about issues of bias, harassment, discrimination, to assist with the prevention and resolution of these issues in a fair and responsible manner. As transfer students, an area is open to you called the Triton Transfer Hub, which is a nice chill space that has that is reservable for a quiet study space. There's some community building opportunities, free printing, which is really big again in political science classes. Of course, there's snacks, which if you're like me, food motivated, that's a good motivator to get you there. And there's also peer coaches and other professional, academic, and social events available. And if you have any questions, big or small, and don't know where to start, I would recommend dropping by the Triton Transfer Hub. This is their location right here. and you can find a video to their location located on their webpage. As a new Triton transfer student, this is what their webpage would look like. You can see it's a pretty straightforward webpage, can give you resources for not only new admits, but also peer coaching and involvement and events. Okay, with that, we'll transition to advising structure on campus. So as we alluded to earlier, we have a multi-tiered advising system. So if you're unaware, like we said previously, questions should be submitted to the VAC. Department advisors are responsible for your major questions, or minor, if you have anything that minor related. You should always contact us for questions about those major requirements. Questions might be for any of the political science, any of political science majors, double majors, planning, enrollment issues, honors, our academic policy, etc. You should consult with your college about their specific requirements, namely university requirements, unit issues, etc. They're the real hub to go to regarding there. Our staff are available Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. That's when we'll be answering questions via the virtual advising center. And yeah, you should expect between 2 to 3 days for an answer. Might be a little bit longer during peak times, such as this one, such as this period of time. And yes, we do offer drop-in advisings. That should say fall 2024. But in-person advising does resume there in SSB 301. For now, we're online for the remainder of the summer, but the times still remain the same. Monday and Tuesday from 1:30 to 3:30 p.m. and Wednesdays 9:30 to 11:30. You may find the Zoom link for drop-in advising on our webpage, and that's the best way to get in contact with us. You can find that here if you go to undergraduate program, office hours, and this is the Zoom link I was just referring to. Whoops. And yeah, again, summer 24 advising will be conducted remotely. If you have any questions about enrollment, that would be the time and place to do it. And yeah, so that concludes our presentation. Thank you all for attending, and I look forward to working with every one of you. Before we start the Q&A session, we can take a 10-minute break right